Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, it's a pleasure for me to welcome the young people from Kirinyaga to this Senate this afternoon. And I do so because they don't know us very well. You'll be interested to know, young people, that when I was a young doctor, over 30 years ago, I worked at Kerukoya District Hospital, where, amongst other things, we developed the health center. I believe you call it the fathers. We are the ones who fixed it. This is part of the work that we have done for the people of Kenya. And here in the Senate, I am the Senator of Kakamega. Feel most welcome. When you leave, I don't know whether your senator is around. I will come and address you outside so that we know each other better. Madam Speaker, thank you that I got your eye on an opportunity to speak to this very important piece of legislation. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I therefore rise to second the bill on the Heritage and Museums Bill 2023 of Kenya. Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think the best place for me to start in my contribution is where is this law taking us in terms of the economic impact. The impact, Madam Speaker, is that this is the future of tourism in this country. I've heard you speak to it, but let me just borrow one statement from you. You spoke to what you find in the museums in the UK. I've also had an opportunity to go there in those museums, and you cannot imagine, it doesn't matter what time, be it in winter, be it in the summer, when you go to the UK, those museums are always full. They make money from people just visiting their museums. It is my belief that the future of tourism in this country will have to either grow or migrate from the current tourist attraction, which is just simply the white beaches at the coast and the obsession about the big five, which is okay. A leopard is a good thing. An elephant is a good thing. So is the lion and so on and so forth. But inside cultural tourism is a treasure that is going to earn this country billions of dollars never imagined before. And I want to thank my brother, Bishop Racha Murgor Julius, for this great industry. Madam Speaker, since the distinguished Senate has been organized enough to move us from the national then to the county, allow me, for purposes of being understood very well, to speak to the heritage of my community, the Baluya culture. Madam Speaker, just like your culture of the Kikuyu, we want to speak to these things openly and in distinguished platforms like the one in this Senate, for us to debunk the lie that when you're proud of being a Kikuyu, that when you're proud of being a Luhya, it is tribalism. It's not. Tribalism is negative ethnicity. But positive ethnicity, like what is being provided for in this bill, should be welcomed by all Kenyans who want to break fresh ground for our economy. If you come, Madam Speaker, to our 5 counties of the Luhya Nation, back in Kitale, there will be a museum. In Busia Town, there will be a museum. In Bungoma Town, there will be a museum. In Mbale Town, there will be a museum. And of course, the mother of all the counties, Kakamega County, there'll be a museum in Kakamega. The museum in Kakamega will give our children and our visitors an opportunity to know that just like all the communities of the world, we also have our own heroes. And our heroes are not limited, Madam Speaker, to just the politicians. I wouldn't mind being called a hero myself, but I know my grandfather, Hayati Ikhunyalo, wa Khalwale Simbwa Shina Simba, was a greater hero than myself. And yet, no record exists of this great man. He teamed up, Madam Speaker, with the other heroes in my community, mainly hero called Lusala from Shinyalu and a hero called Mambere from Shinyalu. And we had epic battles. It's unfortunate that heroism at that time, Madam Speaker, used war as a yardstick to define a hero. And these great heroes that I've mentioned are the ones who drove the pastoralist communities, the Maasais, the Kalenjins. We drove them out of the present day Kakamega. I know the Senator of Kajiado of Narok, I beg your pardon, the district senator from Narok will be happy to know that until just the other day, we were having Maasais in Kakamega. Yes. In fact, the member of parliament, I think, of Gilgoris is, I've forgotten his name. He's just gone away. He left Kakamega just the other day, and they went to Transmara and established families there, and they have become Maasais. Yes, Sunkuli. It is Sunkuli that you're talking about. Sunkuli Azadmi. He's a guy, no. He speaks Kilua perfectly nice. Me, I speak a bit of Maasai thanks to my wife, Sakeyen. Sometimes speaks to the children in Maasai, and I tell her, now what are you doing? You think my children are like bones. My children are not like bones. They are bullfighters, Madam Speaker. So, these heroes that we are talking about, we want to talk about our kingdom. The Wanga kingdom in Kakamega is a well-established kingdom, and these are things that will be on record. We want to talk about our musical artifacts. Not many Kenyans know that whether it is Alliance Girls High School, or it is Shimolatewa Boys High School, or it is whatever kind of school, when you go to traditional songs, when they sing, the songs that win are Luya songs, and those Luya songs come from Kakamega, the center of song and dance. Madam Speaker, it will give us an opportunity, therefore, to preserve our musical artifacts, including the kind of plays that traditionally are practiced by my community, which include, Madam Speaker, but not limited to Shinanda, Madam Speaker, Isukuti, Litungu, Shiriri, Endebe, Itiolo, name it. The children who the senator of Narok was calling the ones who practice the TikTok culture from my community have no idea what I'm talking about. But if we have this museum, then they'll be properly socialized. Indeed, with this kind of museum in Kakamega, I look forward to us preserving our traditional games, which include wrestling, shicholo, and indeed, bullfighting, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I look forward to our social norms being properly documented and recorded in respect of how traditional weddings are practiced, the burial rites, and yes, the unique circumcision rites. As a doctor, I've practiced across the country, and I'm able to see, just by seeing a patient, I can tell you if you're a Maasai or a Luhya because of the way you are circumcised. Yes, this is it. And sometimes when I talk to the Maasai and they tell me why they circumcise in that particular manner, I say how scientific our community was, because it caters for specific times of a man cohabiting with a wife if she's pregnant or not. Madam Speaker, allow me to speak to the benefits and returns on the investment that we are going to make in this bill. This is a bill because of unlocking the tourism potential. It will speak to millions of jobs. As properly articulated by Senator Olekina, you need tour guides, you need drivers, you need the hospitality industry that backs tourism. And these are the jobs that we are going to create. What's more, the returns that will accrue from the gate collections when these tourists pay. Madam Speaker, I want to conclude by speaking to the issue of education and this bill. I see nothing wrong whatsoever if in the 6 counties of the Kikuyu, for example, in the first formative years, children are taught culture as their syllabus. In the 5 counties of the Luhya, children are taught in the first 2 years their culture, their language, and then they expand as they grow to be taught bigger things. I'm not too sure how old you are, Madam Speaker, but people of my age and below, we were actually, as a compulsory requirement, taught vernacular in primary school, primary 1, primary 2, and primary 3. It was only after we were moving into primary 4 that then they started teaching us a bit of Swahili and English. And you find that people, we are so, he had, because he's a younger person, he had to rely on his grandfather. But as it was very easy, because the first 3 years you had to be taught culture. You're being taught in Kluya, Shirala, Bibiri, Vibaka. You are now counting. Madam Speaker, you would then be taught, for example, the vowels. We would be taught the vowels in vernacular. You would be taught ha, he, hi, ho, hu. I mean, Madam Speaker, this is what we are losing because of being obsessed with funny things called English. Yeah? If you want to try, you can either do things. You either get a Luhya wife, or who will help you to learn, or alternatively, you behave as if you are clearing your throat. So you start by clearing ha, he, hi, hu. And there is no way a child would miss and fail an exam because you have taught him the vowels in vernacular. When you now, I listen to the way they are teaching the alphabet these days. I have small guys who are still learning those things. And I've lost them now. Where we used to say A, B, C, D, they say A, Ba, Buf. Ha, ha, pa. I don't understand them. So we have to align our education system with the need for us to maintain cultural relevance. With those many remarks, Madam Speaker, I now yield and move that this bill be read a second time. I support.
Thank you, Senator Khalwale. I'm not sure whether the ha was parliamentary